American Family Radio Network, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. Folks, make that unique gift. Do it this week. Please, that unique gift where you have an opportunity to impact not only somebody's earthly life, maybe the economics of a particular family, to teach someone a work that can last a lifetime and be passed from generation to generation. You can do that with a pair of chickens or sheep or goats. I sat with two of my grandchildren last night and did that very thing. And I want you to sit with your children or grandchildren this week, maybe tonight. Get online. I went to afr.net. I clicked on the logo, and I had my granddaughter and one of my grandsons sitting on my lap, and we went through all the pictures and decided what we were going to do. And I explained to them that this is an opportunity to share the Great Commission. And Lucia said, "What is the Great Commission, Poppy?" And it was an ideal situation for me to share that God asked us to share the gospel even to the furthest corners of the world, to countries we've never been, to impoverished people. And that's what we are doing right now. We're sharing the gospel because I talked about their earthly life, but more importantly, it's their eternal life. This is coming to you from a pastor. You heard Devin Patrick, our producer, yesterday, who lived there and worked there for a year with Gospel for Asia and saw this firsthand. And a pastor will bring this not only as an opportunity to share Jesus Christ, the saving grace of Jesus Christ with them, but it may be an opportunity that's going to open the door to plant a church in that particular village and community. So for $11, it sounds almost crazy, but for $11, a pair of chickens or a goat or a sheep or pigs or whatever, you can have an impact, a great, great impact for the kingdom and for proclaiming the gospel. And we hope you'll join us in our Christmas Critter campaign. Now you can go to afr.net and just click on that logo, afr.net, and I'll take you right to the site. Or you can call 877-907-4628 or 877-907-GOAT, G-O-A-T, 877-907-4628. And we sure hope, I hope, that you will join us. Our Financial Issues listeners, I know, have been very, very faithful in that, and I'm so grateful that you guys always come along with me and my wife. And, you know, I can't think of one thing that I've ever asked any of you to do that my wife and I haven't done. And we so appreciate that, and I hope you'll do this. It is the greatest gift you can give this Christmas. We hope you'll join us. Go to afr.net to do that. Anyway, 866-300-9298. Let's get to the phones. I'll let you know how the markets are open. We got a full board. Let me go to... looks like Miller from Louisiana. Hey, Miller.
Oh, hello there, brother. I love your program.
Thank you.
Wanted to make a comment on something you were saying earlier before I get to my question, and which has to do with these congressmen and senators that are waffling. And my congressman goes to my church, and about a month ago, 2 months ago, before the government shutdown, the Lord showed me to tell him this, and I think all your listeners who know Jesus need to tell their congressman this, that they need to stand firm, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 4, when Nebuchadnezzar tried to make them bow down. And they said, no, we're not going to do it, and I'm going to throw you in the fire. Well, if our God will save us out of that, but even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Esther chapter 4 and see where she says, you're having to go to her husband, the king, on the penalty of maybe being killed. If I die, I die. And we need to encourage and tell these congressmen to take a stand for what's right. Mm-hmm. Now, to my main question, I have gotten some literature from his Stansberry and Associates, And I just got something in that I shared with my financial advisor here in Baton Rouge, and another man that brother who deals in gold, to just see what they thought of it. But what this thing, and this is why I want to get your opinion, and all. But what he was saying is that the whole problem with our nation is economically, is that the world's economic system is based on a dollar, but that's could be moving right now to change to another standard because China and some other people are just really disgusted. And what Stansberry and those associates are saying is that when we spend more money, we just say, so what? We'll just print more money. And we just keep on. But that way, Stansberry's saying that will come to a screeching halt if we change the monetary standard, whether it's through the MF, Monetary Fund Group, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, Dan, it seems to me that this whole nation could just implode. And, of course, I'm not wringing my hands because I've read the end of the story. I'm just watching it unfold, but it seems like it could be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And so I'll just hang up and let you respond to that.
Thank you, Miller. I appreciate your comments, brother. Daniel, one of the greatest men in the Bible that we can look to if we look nowhere but the first 3 chapters and see that this was a man that was unwavering. That was, if you want a lesson on not compromising, when you know you're doing what is right in the eyes of God, Daniel is a great example of that. I appreciate Miller pointing it out. Listen, folks, I'm not going to, I would say this to everybody on Stansberry. Google his name, look it up. There are indictments from the SEC. He's not allowed to trade. He is a master marketer. He's in business to sell newsletters. He makes millions of dollars a year to do it. And I'll just leave it at that. Now, I will say this. I've been talking about this now for 5 years. This very thing. I wrote about it before pretty much anybody. You can find it in my archive somewhere about the reset button and the reset in the currency. I've been talking about it for years. You said a very important thing, Miller, and that is if this happens, it's going to be, the devastation of the country. Exactly. So here's what, and by the way, no matter what anybody, including mine, advice is on how to protect yourself against that, you're not going to. You can try. But the fact of the matter is, we're all going to be standing in the same soup line. Now, I would rather do what I need to do to hedge in case that doesn't happen. It's not inevitable, but we certainly are headed down that road. And I said it 5 years ago. I say it at every single town hall meeting I've ever done with putting the numbers up there. We are headed towards bankruptcy. That's why just last week I said again, that's why I was so critical then of the proposed budget. I said that it is absolutely shameful and pathetic that we are on the brink of fiscal disaster in this country. We're on the brink of fiscal disaster. And one of two things are happening. Either all of Congress, all of Capitol Hill is so entrenched in the bubble in which they live, they're clueless to the fact that this is going to happen. Or they just don't care because they and their families will be protected. And they just don't care. One or the other. You can try to say it's something else, but it's one or the other. So they're either clueless or they just don't care. When you can put a budget together, and I know what Paul Ryan says, well, it's a baby step. It's a step in the right direction. Really? We're going about 100 miles an hour with our foot on the gas headed towards the cliff, and we're slowing down to about 99 miles an hour. And that's a step in the right direction. The fact of the matter is, we're still speeding full speed ahead towards the cliff. And a step in the right direction is when they grow a backbone, everybody on Capitol Hill, and decide for the good of the country and the future of the country to run the car into the ditch. Stop it. I'm not saying you got to fix the car. I'm not saying everything's going to be great, but can you run it into the ditch so that you can develop a plan, get the car someday back up on the road, turned in the other direction, and fixed? But we're not willing to do that. And the fact that there is going to be, listen, we know there's going to be a one world government. I don't know when, but I said in my article, that reset button that I wrote 5 years ago, I said the thing that is going to lead us to that, in my opinion, is the currency. Because what we've learned from Europe is we cannot have a one currency without a government. Because the euro is a perfect example of that. 17 different parliaments, 17 different ideologies, 17 different cultures trying to make a decision. They couldn't make a decision to do anything. They know one thing: they need a governing authority if you're going to have a currency. So, look, all I can say is, are we headed in that direction? Is it going to be, are we going to reach the point of no return? Yes. Are we going to be replaced as the reserve currency of the world by China or somebody else? Possibly, but that ain't going to happen overnight because it's mathematically impossible. So China's already make some moves to that. They're trading now in their own currency between some of the Asia countries. They're already doing that. New Zealand being the last one to sign on to being able to do that. So, you know, they're gonna sell things to New Zealand for New Zealand dollars, and New Zealand's going to buy things for Chinese dollar, and they're going to, you know, they've already started to do that to a certain extent. The International Monetary Fund that you referred to already has a plan for replacing America, the U.S. dollar, as a reserve currency. They have a currency, and that's what we're likely to see before we're going to see China. So, but it can't happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not likely to happen overnight. It'd be very difficult mathematically for that to happen. But it could. I'm not preparing for that. I'm not preparing for the sky is falling. I'm going to prepare for the fight. And that's why I fight every day on this program. I'm going to continue to fight to keep it from happening. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I'm going to, you know, keep fighting for it because it's the right thing to do. So I think that we've got to turn our attention, because if and when that happens, it's irrelevant what we do. Oh, gold's going to be $10,000, $20,000 an ounce. Sure it is. Good luck with that. What are you going to do with it? You going to think you're going to buy groceries with it? You think you're going to be able to put gas in your car with it? What good is it? So is it going to be worth a lot? Yeah. But if you can't package up all your gold, get on that private jet to Hong Kong and get rid of it overnight for a whole bunch of worthless U.S. dollars, then what good is it? So we can focus all of our attention on preparing for the worst, or we can be fighting and praying that it doesn't happen. But we can't pray without putting some fight and feet to our faith. So we need to be fighting for it. And that's what I'm going to, if I err, it's going to be on the side of fighting too hard for what is right. And if that happens, it happens. But I'm going to hedge. I'm going to say, I'm going to prepare my portfolio, my investments, my strategies, my cash, my gold, my money, my food supply, my family for a depression. Yes, not a total collapse, for a depression. And I'm also going to hedge in case I'm wrong and we do get the car turned around or run into the ditch and slow it down. I'm going to prepare for the fact that I'm wrong here, and I'm going to hedge against that with my strategy. Now, here's the problem we have right now, and this is why we're going to go over the cliff. China's been doing this for 14 years now. They're masters at printing money. You think we got problems printing? Their debt to GDP ratio is 200%. It's not even close to ours. They've been printing successfully for a very long time. And we are dumb enough to believe that we can be like China. China's got a totally different economy than us. But that's one of the problems, and that's one of the problems that we face from a political standpoint, because all those men and women trying to be kind, all those men and women on Capitol Hill living in that bubble are looking at that, and They don't know. They know as much about economics as you do. They've already proven that. So all they're doing is saying, well, China's been doing it and they haven't had inflation. Yeah, they haven't had a whole lot of growth, but they haven't had a lot of inflation. So I'm not going to follow the rants of someone who is trying to sell a newsletter at an exorbitant price and is making millions of dollars. And the way you sell anything, this has been going on since mankind has been walking on this earth. The way you sell something is to scare everybody to death and then offer a solution. And you can sell whatever you want. I can do a town hall meeting. I guarantee you I can sell 70% of those people to buy something if I had something to sell. I guarantee you I scare them to death anyway. Problem is I don't have anything to sell them. But I tell you I could do it. And that's the technique that is working very, very well, particularly in the Christian community, which is the saddest thing of all. Particularly in the Christian community, that fear mongering and then offering a solution. The solution is you buy my newsletter, you follow my picks, you do this, you do that, you do. Look, I mean, and that's going to continue to happen. We've got to put our trust and our faith in the Lord. We know how this story ends, folks. That's the advantage that we have. And certainly we got to live every day like that's going to happen tonight. But we've got to plan like it may not happen for another 100 years. And I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to continue to fight because the Bible tells us when we get closer to the end times, all the more we should be fighting. Financial Issues, American Family Radio, 866-300-9298. We'll be right back.